Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to the Jesse LaSala Show, episode 11. It is November 19th, 2020. How the hell are you? My guest today is Mr. Johnny Ace, my dear uncle and former co-host of our old podcast, The Two Up. He is also our Saints insider, correspondent, political expert, and he will be joining us. But first, let's break a little sports news. Tonight, the Cardinals are visiting the Seattle Seahawks, a big game. I hate the Seahawks. I'll be rooting hard for the Cardinals. I mostly just hate Russell Wilson. But it's the battle of the short, shifty quarterbacks. And Russell Wilson and the Seahawks have been trash lately. Speaking of Russell Wilson, him and Ciara are making their own fragrance that smells like, quote unquote, their love. God, they're so fucking creepy. That's disgusting. That is cringy. It's very cringy and creepy. Speaking of creepy, Justin Herbert, little rookie quarterback for Los Angeles Chargers, he cut off his long hair. Actually, he had it cut off by his strength and conditioning coach, which I don't know that I want to get a haircut from a big burly man with hairy forearms, and he looks a mess. I mean, it looks like whenever they would do rookie hazing back in the day, and I think they did it to Tim Tebow where they gave him like the reverse Friar tuck. So I don't know if this was some sort of hazing or he needed to lose a couple pounds, so they cut his hair off. The dude already looked like he was 17 years old. Now he looks like he's 13. I mean, still with the acne and, the baby face. So it'll be interesting to see if this affects his play, because I think that hair is what was making him sing. The NBA draft was last night. It was awkward as fuck. It was corny as fuck. They made it into a children's show, which is fine because most of these players getting drafted are in fact children. The virtual thing, it was just sort of clunky. A lot of emotion. Everybody's surrounded by their families. They're not in some, New York City music hall or venue like that. But the overall presentation, I had the sound off for most of it because I was doing other things. But from what I saw, it was not good. Not to mention, the crop of players just wasn't that great this year. No real superstars except for LaMelo Ball of the Ball family. And we're going to get to his father here coming up soon. But other than that, no real household names. Not a lot of people that you've ever heard of unless you're a true college basketball fan. More NBA news coming out of Indianapolis. Reports of my ex-boyfriend, Victor Oladipo. He was asking multiple teams now, during games, in front of his teammates, if he could come play with them. Well, you know what? You're a creep. Goodbye. Bad news for Golden State Warriors fans. Klay Thompson, injured again after sitting out all last year. injured his Achilles while playing a pickup game in Los Angeles. That's tough news. The PBS logo's career is in jeopardy. Alright, we're going to get to our guest right now, Mr. John Ace. Joining our guest, Saints insider, correspondent, political expert, John A.
Jesse!
How say you, sir?
Jesse LaSala, how you doing, boy?
Man, you know, I'm just out here chilling, getting ready to get the hell out of here.
When you coming back down here?
Man, I'll be down there for December, Shaq.
Oh, yeah.
Just when it's turning around 80 degrees.
We gonna have some fun, yeah.
Man, some gumbo, yeah.
You and me, yeah, you know shot.
Oh, the potato salad and the gumbo, you do that?
I did not understand that.
The potato salad inside of the gumbo? Is that a thing?
I think that's a thing.
Yeah, I've never done it before, but I've seen pictures and now I have to try it. So it's not my kind of gumbo, but we'll see. So how has life been since the end of the 2-Up?
Well, first of all, I miss that podcast.
Uh-oh.
You know, what I miss most is just rapping with my nephew every week.
Same.
You know? I miss it. I mean, it was kind of stressful because, I don't know. You know, I had to prepare for it, and I got nervous about it. I'd be nervous all day before a podcast, you know? And, so that's gone. Like, not having that is kind of cool. Like, not being nervous about doing it. But, I just miss rapping with you every week.
Well, we can do that anytime you want, sir. You know that.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't need tens of listeners listening. You know what I'm saying?
You're being generous.
There you go. All right, so let's get down to the Saints. Okay, so a horrific injury to Mr. Drew Brees. First question on my mind: should a flag have been thrown for that hit? Objectively.
You could go either way on it.
Right.
And, now as far as the guy's weight being on him, he kind of had like one shoulder kind of on him.
Right.
So the flag could have gone either way. I mean, I'm one that, it could have gone either way.
Right, so it wasn't like it wasn't.
So
blatant.
I have no problem that they threw it, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have had a problem with it had they not thrown it. Because I am one of these who errs on the side of let them play.
Right.
And the quarterback knows the risks, and a quarterback should be able to have. The quarterback should be expected and be able to have the pocket presence to be able to avoid the pressure and just go down. I mean, just throw the ball away or go down, you know. Now, and
Especially since
Drew Brees is usually very good at that. That's one of the strengths of his game is sensing and feeling the pressure and moving away from it and doing what he has to do, whether it's throw the ball away or whatever. But that pressure on that play came quick.
yeah.
And that was Cesar Ruiz, the rookie.
Ooh.
And that dude is going to be a very special player, but maybe that was the play where he had to learn, you know. And he will learn from that play. I mean, there's no way you cannot learn. I mean, that's an offensive lineman's nightmare to get beat so bad and so quickly that your fucking Hall of Fame quarterback gets knocked out for however many games this is going to be, you know. You know.
Yeah.
So
how are players
that's
looking
why
at,
Breeze couldn't sense it. I mean, the guy was just on him before he could do anything.
how are players in the Saints locker room looking at Mr. Ruiz after that game? Is this a blessing in disguise to them, or am I reading too much into it? What's as a true Saints fan, who gives you the better shot to get to the Super Bowl, Breeze or Jameis Winston, or Taysom Hill at starting quarterback?
Well, it remains to be seen, and the attitude that has to be taken is right now we got to put the right personnel in place. And by the way, Breeze isn't the only issue. You know, Cam Jordan's got a back problem. Josh Hill and Traquan Smith are out with concussions. So right now the focus is you got to put together a personnel package and a game plan based on that personnel package to beat the Falcons. Is it the Falcons we're playing next?
Yep.
Yeah. You just got to beat the Falcons. You're not thinking about playoffs and next season, or you're thinking about right now is beat the Falcons. That's it. So obviously, the best quarterback that's going to help you do that is Jameis Winston, not Taysom Hill. The thing is, what was the question?
I'm wondering which one gives you the best chance, but also, okay, so what is Jameis's ceiling? Like, because he had an interception dropped in that last game, and he's known for throwing, yes, 30 touchdowns, but also 30 interceptions. So do you think he's learned anything under the wisdom of Sean Payton and Drew Brees? By osmosis, at least?
I don't know. I mean, I just straight don't know. And I don't think Sean Payton knows. I don't think but I don't know if Jameis knows. So I mean, we're just going to see. We're just going to learn a lot about the team. The thing is, the Saints have been through this before. Obviously, last year, they had Teddy. Breeze went down. Teddy went 5-0 as a starter. And the thing is, there was all this ballyhoo. That's a new word for you.
Whoa.
There was all this ballyhoo and balapabop about how great Teddy was, right?
Yeah.
And I love me some Teddy Bridgewater. I just love the dude. But Teddy is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not a spectacular baller, but he did enough to win, and he took care of the ball. Okay. So that when you got a guy like that and you got a coach like Sean Payton that can kind of put things in the right place to just sort of get by, and you've got a good running game and you've got a good defense, you've got these other pieces in place, you could weather a storm like that. And so everybody's proud of what Teddy did, I mean, hell, I wanted to keep him as a starting quarterback, but But the unsung hero, what kind of went under the radar is the job that Sean Payton did during that 5-game stretch. You with me?
True. Well,
He simplified things. He focused on what Teddy did well. And, it wasn't a lot of Teddy running the ball, There were a lot of 3-and-outs, I mean, the Saints beat the Cowboys 12-10.
right.
You know what I'm saying? During that stretch. I mean, it wasn't lights out balling. It was doing enough to win and minimizing the mistakes, taking care of the ball, that kind of thing. And so, I think what we will see against Atlanta is the Saints lining up and running the ball. I think we'll see more Latavius Murray. We'll see more Alvin Kamara. And we'll see more like high percentage type stuff. And I think there will be a similar approach with Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi, the quarterback's coach, to sort of to simplify things for Jameis, focus on what he does well, and it's just basically a replay of last year. I mean, will it work as well as last year? I don't know. But, man, it's just about the Falcons. You just got to come up with a game plan and an approach to beat the Falcons. That's it. And then after that, you worry about the next week. But, I'll say this about Jameis Winston. The little bit that we saw him last week is, he was very tentative and it didn't look spectacular, but didn't look horrible last week. And, but I'll tell you one thing. They got around that goal line, and there was one play where Jameis dropped back. There was nobody open, and then he stepped up, and then he started kind of running a little bit. And he actually ran down to, I think he was tackled around the 2. He kind of started, I felt like that play, he kind of started to look like his old self.
Oh, yeah.
A little loose and kind of comfortable, using his legs a little bit. And I felt good seeing that. He's not like – at first he kind of had a deer in headlights look. But from that play, it kind of looked like, okay, you know what? I got this.
Yeah.
And that was kind of good to see. And so basically I'm feeling kind of good.
I would be too. And, a lot of the jokes that have been going around, and this is nothing to joke about with how serious Bree's injury is, but, I mean, I'm in a lot of Madden leagues, and everybody's texting back and forth, and a lot of people are saying this is the best thing to happen to the Saints. That Jameis is going to come in and ball out, and then Sean Payton's going to have a really difficult decision to make, especially with the severity. I mean, a punctured lung and fractured ribs, and I mean, it's just like, at what point?
And dude was back on the sideline, chomping at the bit.
Exactly. So the guy's a maniac, obviously, and at what point is it just not worth it to risk throwing him back in there to have like a serious, potentially deadly injury if another 300-pound man lands on him?
Yeah. Man, to me, it's just all about, man, we got to win games. It's about winning games. It's not about nobody's pride. It's not about nobody's feelings getting hurt. It's not about nobody being at the end of the career, so you got to put them back in so they can get the record or so that they could get their fucking Super Bowl that they should have got one of the last 3 years that they fucking pooped out in the playoffs, Come on, man. You go 13-3. You host the Minnesota Vikings that fucking stumbled their asses into the playoffs, and you're going to let them beat you at home?
See,
you know what I'm saying?
This is the John Ace I miss. Fired up.
Okay. You get me all riled up.
All right. Last question about the Saints, and I have a couple more things. But out of the next 4 games that y'all have, so you're at home for Atlanta, at Denver, at Atlanta, and at Philadelphia. Which one of those games concerns you the most, or are you just going to go full Belichickian and one game at a time?
Could you list those games again?
So it's Atlanta in New Orleans, and then the next three on the road: Denver Broncos, Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles.
On paper, I don't worry about any of those teams.
Right.
But, Atlanta beat us at home last year, or it might have been the year before, after our bye week. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dominated us, So, any of those, anything could happen, man. Any of those teams could beat us. But on paper, I mean, even without Breeze, as long as Winston doesn't throw 4 interceptions, we should beat every one of those freaking teams.
Yeah.
I
agree.
In their house.
If I'm gonna play Jesse's advocate, I will say that Denver is the most likely one that y'all could have a hiccup where it could be a 12-10 game. Just
man, who's playing quarterback for them now?
Drew Lock or his
Drew
backup Lock. Or
okay.
The guy running the cotton candy stand, some dude, but
right.
I just think there's some sort of element of uncertainty. We're gonna have to see what happens this Sunday, obviously. If Jameis comes out and throws 4 touchdowns and maybe 1 interception, maybe not. But I just feel like that Denver game is kind of sneaky.
Yeah, I hear that. And man, every game is sneaky, But man, we got the offensive line, we got the defensive line, we got the defense overall, and we got the running game. Man, I'm telling you, Sean Payton drives me crazy sometimes because nobody can stop the Latavius Murray between the tackles running game. Nobody can stop it. Nobody has stopped it up until now, But Sean Payton he's just going to give Latavius like 6, 8 carries a game. I don't know why they don't turn that on more. But maybe now they will, But what I hope Sean Payton does, and he does this from time to time, I hope he lines up with 6 offensive linemen, brings that extra tackle in there, and just runs it down their throat with Latavius Murray, man. Then you got a totally different ball game to deal with. You're talking about Jameis Winston being able to do some bootlegs and some play action, as well as you got to worry. I mean, you got to bring an extra safety up in that box.
Absolutely. Look, my biggest fear whenever we were in the midst of that Packers-Saints game was, oh my God, we can't stop Latavius Murray. This dude is balling us over, and suddenly he just wasn't getting the ball anymore. And I was like,
yeah, he just disappeared from the game plan.
All right, that's an interesting choice, Sean.
Yeah. And so, and I understand, you do that a few times, the guys start putting that safety in the box, they start coming up on it. So then, you got to kind of go away from it, but you got to come back to that shit.
And then you do a play action and boom, wide open touchdown. That was interesting. But the point is, if they don't, in fact, rely on their running game with Winston, it could be trouble because he is a confident dude, and I don't know how much he's learned. And like you said, once he starts to get loose, anything can happen. So
yeah, man, Winston he's a Brett Favre, man.
Oh yeah, the black.
Yeah,
Brett.
He's just gonna sling it, like you said. He's very confident, and he's just gonna sling it, even if somebody's just kind of barely open. He's got a great arm, and so he knows it, and he's, but it comes back to this question you had of, is his gunslinger mentality curtailed somewhat, having been in this quarterback room and with Sean Payton? How is Sean Payton going to coach him? And that's just the $1 million question, and we're going to find out on Sunday.
Well, I think they can just run the same game plan that Breeze has been running, where you throw 4 yard passes and just
Yeah.
trickle down the field. You don't even have to pass down the like. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that, but Breeze has been getting it down the field a little bit.
Right.
I mean, I've been shocked.
Well, I can't wait to watch. I'm gonna definitely have that one on. I think that's the early game. I think it's at 1. But yeah, I will be tuning in for that. Did you watch any of the Pelicans draft?
No, I'm completely clueless. I know, didn't they trade Drew Holiday?
They traded Drew Holiday, and
And
it
they
wasn't
got
to
a
the
they got a
Pacers.
king's ransom for him, right?
They just got a bunch of pieces, like George Hill and I don't know.
Bledsoe
Yeah, Bledsoe. That's right. That's pretty much an
and
even
some
trade.
picks, though, right?
Yeah, they got some picks. I'm just sour because I wanted Drew to come be with his brothers in Indiana, but Milwaukee emptied out the chest for him. So
Yeah. And listen, I'm cool with it
right.
because I've been kind of dicey with the Drew Holiday trade. You know, it's been rumored for a couple seasons, and I was a little shaky on my support for that because, we kind of need, man, Drew is Drew, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, he's like the father of the gang. And the dude plays defense lights out, and especially in the playoffs, man. He just steps it up, and dude is a tremendous defensive player. And then just when you least expect it, when you just forget that he can score, wham, he'll hit that three-pointer, So I've been kind of against it, but you know what? I don't know how old he is. He might be 30 now.
I think he's 31, maybe
Okay.
32 in December, something like that.
And now I kind of feel like, okay, we can let him go now. Like he's old enough, to where we're not going to have him that much longer anyway. I'm kind of feeling like, okay, we can let him go because we got some veterans, man. We got what's his name, the white boy that hits all the threes.
Oh, Reddick is still
Reddick.
Okay.
And we got what's that big man? Dude, it's been too long since I watched a Pelicans game. I can't remember. Derek Favors.
You got a new head coach, Stan Van.
Huh?
You got new head coach Stan Van Gundy.
Solid coach.
You
by
got
all accounts.
assistant head coach, former Louisiana Tech WNBA star Teresa Weatherspoon. She's been promoted to the full-time assistant coach position. That's a progressive
You got
move.
Chick in there.
Yeah, I know. I knew you would be upset about that.
We done went and hired a chick.
I mean, she could probably post up Zion.
No, what I'll say about that is bring it. Bring it on, man. You know why? Because when you include chicks in the mix, you have doubled your talent pool.
Oh yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
They have the footwork down. I mean, if you watch a WNBA game, it's all about formations and running crisp and setting solid picks, and
Yeah.
it's all the fundamentals. It's not all this like, oh, I'm just athletic as fuck and I'm just gonna dunk on you. It's like, no, we actually need to plan this out.
Yeah. And when you're having a hard time and you're frustrated and you start acting like a baby, when you have a chick getting in your grill and telling you to be a man and suck it up,
In front of the whole team.
yeah, you gonna be a man and suck it up.
Yeah, man, chicks rule.
Yeah. So I'm all for it, man. Bring them in, and it's just you double your talent pool that you're drawing from. I mean, it's an immediate advantage over other teams. So I'm all for it. But yeah, man. So you got Zion. Okay, now he's in his sophomore season, a little older. Ingram's been with the team a little while now, and I know there's a new coach. I get that, but Lonzo's been down here now for a couple years. And I just feel like now it's kind of okay. I felt like we really needed Drew Holiday for that young team, but now I think it's okay to let him go now.
Yeah, well, you got Lonzo, and speaking of Lonzo, his father made some headlines either yesterday or today. He was speaking about his son's relationships, oddly enough. Not their basketball skills, their relationships off the court. And, quote, "You're never going to meet a nice woman, especially in basketball. If you're in this profession, when you have all this fame and notoriety, how are you going to meet a good girl? You're not. Because what? You're going to meet are at the restaurant where you eat, or you're going to go to a club where you dance, or you're going to meet at the arena. So I hate to tell you, you're going to meet a hoe."
Wow. Well, where did he meet his wife?
When he was averaging 3 points a game and, never made it to the NBA.
Ah, right. So he was able to meet a good woman
Yeah, a nice white lady who,
because he sucked.
yeah.
Okay.
So he's seeing like all the fame that his sons are getting and all the hoes that they're sleeping with, and he's jealous. Interesting.
Makes sense.
You would be, I mean, come on. You would be bitter too, right? If you had a son and he walks in with some dime and you're like, oh, if only I
Yeah.
made it to the NBA and had meaningless relationships with 22-year-olds.
Yeah. I had my share.
Oh!
I did all right.
But you wouldn't want to be married to any of them.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get into some politics here. Is Trump going to bomb Iran on the way out?
Uh,
This is what he said to a room full of important and horrible people, including Mike Pence, who all advised him against it. And the only reason this is even an option in his mind, I guess, is because he canceled the nuclear deal that Obama had set in place to monitor their weapons base in Iran. And,
yeah.
or I'm sorry, Iran. And since it was canceled, Iran has probably stockpiled their arsenal. And why wouldn't they when they're looking over at us like, oh, these motherfuckers are crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, and also something I didn't realize is that if you look at the map, just look at a map of the Middle East with U.S. military bases, and there's about 1 million of them. Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. We've got like, it's basically surrounding Iran with U.S. military bases. It was kind of, comical when I looked at that on a map. I mean, what are they supposed to think?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's Iran is, I'm not moving to Iran tomorrow, but, I don't know, man. You reap what you sow in that region. I'll just leave it at that.
So do you think that the votes are all in, or when are we going to get a concession speech, or is he just going to disappear into the forest with his incestuous family?
My concern presently is Trump's on his way out, and he's gonna be prosecuted so hard. Even though Biden's trying to say, I don't want my presidency mussied up with just a bunch of investigations on Trump. There's going to be investigations on Trump. There's already been, and they're just waiting for January 21st, and the intelligence community, Southern District of New York, District of D.C., maybe he's probably committed crimes in Florida. All of these attorneys are just going to be all over the guy and his whole family on January 21st, So, Trump is, I would say he's going to die in prison. And I could be wrong about all this. This is just what I see happening. Might be wishful thinking. I don't know. But he's either going to die in prison, or he's going to be pardoned for this and that, or They will commute his sentence. I mean, because, I mean, he's a former president, for Christ's sake. You know, we don't want our, former American president dying in prison. I mean,
It's a bad look.
yeah. So, but he will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, I think, for all the crimes he's committed. And on January 21st, he has no friends. I mean, besides Rudy Giuliani and Roger Stone. Like, everyone's just going to abandon him. You know what I'm saying? Except for the politicians that are in just the reddest of the reddest districts in this country. Like, where they worship Trump, like, where they have like Trump churches, you know what I'm saying? Except for those freak asses that are in those just freaking long gone districts. I mean, there's no hope for these districts. I mean, they're just gone, man. Only a few handful of politicians and Rudy Giuliani and Roger Stone, like that'll be Trump's only friends. And he's got all this debt coming due, and he's not making it. Every property he owns is losing money, So I see a very pathetic end to Trump, but of course his followers and his worshipers, they'll hang on for a little while, some of them will commit a little violence, there's going to be that little fringe. And it'll take some time to round up those motherfuckers and get them in jail. But it's basically going to end. But I have a bigger concern, Jesse.
Yes.
And it's, a more long-term concern, which is, man, we've got two parallel universes forming. And they've been forming for some time. And, people that believe one thing is kind of going on and people that understand that reality.
Oh, yeah. 72 million Americans voted for him, or 74. Something that disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah. And almost that many people believe that he won the presidency. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's two different universes, And now you not only have Fox News, you've got this huge industry of conservative media, man, One America Network. And actually, you've got this competition on the freak-ass right-wing thing that are actually, like, competing and pulling viewers away from Fox.
Oh, yeah, because Fox is shutting people off. They're like, okay, you're making an embarrassment out of our network. We're going to shut you down now. All these correspondents that are claiming all this voter fraud, and they're like, wait, the taco truck wasn't set up right, and it wasn't enough food for people, so, and the woman's like, yeah, that's what happened, and they're like, okay, we gotta move on, and they just cut it off.
Yeah. So then that correspondent is going to One America Network.
Exactly.
And viewers are following him there.
Yep.
Viewers are like, well, wait a minute, Hannity, or, whatever, I want to hear more about that taco truck. So then they're going over to One America. So Fox is losing viewers to even more extreme outlets, so that Fox is like goddamn CBS News compared to those guys. Know what I'm saying? And there's this total parallel universe forming, man, that are like, there's people walking among us that, like, they think Trump won.
Yeah.
Well,
I just hope all the Trump supporters that said they would leave the country and go to Costa Rica or something actually follow through with it when they actually come to the realization that he's not actually in the White House.
God, I hope they do that. Man, we should set aside an island for them. Maybe we could still get Greenland.
Greenland's Greenland's the one that's ice, and Iceland's the one that's green. Right?
Right.
Interesting.
But they won't know that. They don't fucking know geography. You know what I'm saying? We could just tell them, look, it's white. It's real white.
Yeah. A lot of white.
It's this huge white island.
We don't have to specify the people. It's just, it's just white.
Yeah.
Supremacy.
So, and listen, Jesse, I love Puerto Rico. I've got a very dear friend from Puerto Rico.
Same here.
And I love me some Puerto Rico, okay? But man, if that's what it takes to get these people out of this country, man, maybe we got to give up Puerto Rico. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well,
But maybe we got to trade Puerto Rico. Just, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, I like how
it hurts for me to say it. I love Puerto Rico.
I think there was somebody that was like, I'm going to Hawaii if Trump wins. I mean, if Trump loses.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, about that.
I think those were fake because I can't believe anybody's that stupid, but they probably. There was one about Alaska and one about Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to go to a different country. I'm going to Hawaii. Pathetic. So that's my big concern.
Yeah, and it's gonna
If
take.
we can't agree on facts, you know.
It's gonna take a strong outing by Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris for things to get right, and we all got
Yeah.
our fingers crossed for that. But John Ace, thank you so much for joining us. I understand you have a birthday coming up here pretty soon. How old are you?
I'm old. I'm older than the hills.
Are you? Is this the year you turn 100 or?
99. I've always said I was 99 years old, just because I was almost 99 anyway. You know, but yeah, 99,
So,
man.
You're like one of those females in her 30s that just after she's 32, she's just always 32.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to spend $100 on candles.
That's a fire hazard, sir. Please don't. Just get the one that
No.
says 100.
Man, I'm gonna come on out and say it, man. I'm about to be 50. 50.
That's nothing. Wow.
It's something.
Okay, the only thing about 50 is that's when you have to go get your, colon checked out.
Yeah, I gotta let them poke my poop chute.
All right. On that note, John Ace, thank you so much for joining the Jesse LaSala Show. And anytime you want to come back, you let me know.
I appreciate it. I love your show.